Hi friends, it is little old me again. I know it's been a long time since I posted anything. I had some technical difficulties with my computer and that really held me back. If I look kind of buff, it's because I'm wearing my waist trainer. Yeah, just try not to pay attention to the weird like creases in my stomach right now. I'm really excited if you're here because you want to hear about my college experience. So look at you. I know college isn't a fun subject for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like school. It's not their thing. It never really was mine. I never loved going to school and doing homework and having assignments, but honestly, that's just what I saw as my ticket to like trying to get a stable career and just making money, because you gotta live. I'm not going to go into my philosophy about college because I could talk forever and ever about education in general. That's what I want to get my master's degree in, most likely. So if you ever want to just hear more about like my views as far as education, I'm totally down for that. But here I'm just going to give you a super quick like overcap of how I look back on my experience at UCLA and just the things that stick out to me the most. I do have quite a bit of regrets, but don't take that as like an indication of my overall experience. Those are just small things that, played a significant role, but didn't make up my overall experience there for sure. I still had a good experience, maybe not so much socially, because I was always back home, and I'll tell you more about that later. But it's an awesome school, and I'm so glad that I got my degree from there. If you want more like actual tips on what to do and not to do, then I think that'll be a separate video because it's just going to be way too long. Before I move on, please do me a huge big favor and subscribe. Yeah, thank you anyway for being here on my channel. I think this is as good as it's gonna get. And honestly, like we're talking about 4 years. 4 years worth of schooling in what will probably be like 15 minutes. I went to high school in Stockton, so it doesn't really have to do with college, but one of my teachers, actually she was never even my teacher, she was more just like a mentor, like one of the teachers who actually liked me, and well, they all liked me, let's be real. I was a nerd. I did what I needed to do in high school, like I was never on the teacher's bad side. I never wanted to be. I got accepted to UCLA, which was like my first choice. I didn't really expect to get accepted. I'm gonna do a get to know me video. I don't know if I'll post it before this or after, but there's just so much that goes into my college experience, like so many other pieces of my background that I feel need to be addressed. So I don't know if I'll get too far into those details and like why my experience was the way it was. In another video, we can get into more detail about me and like my past life, my whole life. I don't know shit. I was 17 still when I started. I was just about to turn 18. I lived on campus. That was like the first place I lived because I was the first to go away to college and to figure out a lot of these things like applying for FAFSA and whatnot. I signed myself up to live in the dorms because that was just like the easiest option. It was pretty expensive, let me tell you. We won't talk all about the costs. That was just like my go-to because I didn't really know what other options I had until I got there. Also, I lived with two other girls that were freshmen. I feel like this particular detail like kind of had impact on my experience living there, at least just because I don't know, that's just how I am. I got there after they both did, so like they moved in at least a couple days before me, and I got there kind of last minute, like maybe the day or two before I was supposed to start classes. My family dropped me off, and they had already like kind of like made a relationship and like made a friendship, not a relationship. That's weird. Also, like I didn't identify with them at all. Like I couldn't relate to them. We came from two totally different places, and it was very obvious. And like they didn't even really try to like they ever invited me anywhere, honestly. And I would probably have gone if they had like invited me to go eat with them and stuff. So yeah, anyway, it just didn't we didn't hit it off. I didn't really care for them. I like the first week I was there, I was like calling my mom and telling her that I wanted to go home. I wasn't literally meaning like I'm gonna drop out and go home and like not think twice about it. I just genuinely didn't want to be there, and I was really considering, like I started looking up like how I can transfer, because I did get into like Davis, Merced, and other campuses that I had applied to, but obviously once I got into LA, that was like my first choice. I decided like, it was a no-brainer. And fast forward to me being there and I'm like complaining, like, I just don't feel like I fit in here, like, I think that was like my overall experience there. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons for that we won't really get into today, But yeah, my college experience wasn't what you think it was. Like, just to sum it up, I feel like everyone expects like that I had like this super fun like partying experience where like I did all these cool things and have all these memories. And don't get me wrong, I do have good memories, like I did try to enjoy myself to some extent, but I grew up very sheltered. No, I didn't do any partying or anything like crazy during high school. And so like I guess naturally I thought that I was like gonna, or you would think that like that's when people go out and like have those fun like stages of their life or whatever and kind of live a little because they have freedom. But that's not really what I did. Like for me, because I was so sheltered and I don't know, I guess I'm like pretty antisocial, contrary to popular belief. Two, I miss my family. Like I just miss being home because I come from a really, really tight knit immediate family. Me and my siblings are super close. Like they are probably the reason that I don't have friends because I've chosen to just like stick to my family and like, like we shared rooms growing up. They were just, we were always around each other and like that was expected. And so like, and also I wasn't like allowed to like go out with friends and stuff. Like even in high school, I remember I asked my dad one time if I can go ice skating in 10th grade and he said no. So like that's what my high school experience was like. And going into college, you would think like, I had this like super fun experience where like now I have all this freedom and I'm doing all these cool things that I, like didn't get the chance to before, but it just didn't really turn out that way. That was like the social part, right? Socially, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like a major culture shock. Nobody there looked like me. Nobody there like came from the same thing that I did. If there was anyone, maybe they were older and I just didn't come across them because they were like, in different classes or we just never crossed paths. But I just felt so out of place, like you have no idea. One thing about UCLA is a lot of their students are international students who pay a lot of money to attend that institution. Most of them don't have to work. If that's too big of a generalization, I'm sorry, but from what I like witnessed and observed throughout my 4 years, yeah, I feel like I had the shorter end of the stick in a lot of ways. So not only did I feel like I wasn't really going to make friends because I wasn't like, anyone there, like we didn't come from the same like type of neighborhoods. We didn't like grew up around the same, like cultural environment. We didn't talk the same at all. We didn't, I don't know, like enjoy the same things, I guess. I felt like nobody listened to the same kind of music I did or like was interested in some of the same things that I was. And I just felt like really, yeah, I felt really out of place socially. Academically, don't get me started. I felt so at a disadvantage. It's not even funny. In high school, let me just give you a comparison. Like in high school, it was a breeze. My first 2 years, I went to a public high school, and my second 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school, had transferred over to a charter school. The program that I was in at this charter, it was college oriented. It was for students who wanted to go to college, and it was good in the sense that like a lot of other students like had those same ideas in mind. Academically, it was not rigorous at all, and that's not to talk down on the high school. It just wasn't that challenging for me. One example of how I felt like I was disadvantaged, I went into UCLA as a pre-mathematics major. Now, I don't know what that means to anyone else, but that's hard. I don't know how else to say it. It's a very ambitious thing for me to have thought that I was going to do. And not in a bad way, I didn't realize that I wasn't prepared for that at all. I did take as high of a math as I could, so I did pre-calc my junior year, and I was supposed to do statistics my senior year. I wanted to do AP statistics, which is what they should have offered. There weren't enough students who were even able to take the class, let alone interested in taking the class, to offer it to me. So I just didn't take a math class my senior year. And let me tell you how far behind I felt my freshman year in those calculus classes with students who had already taken AP Calc in high school and just didn't pass with a high enough score to not have to take it their freshman year. So long story short, I'm coming in to UCLA as a pre-math major. thinking I'm good at math. Like, it's always been the easiest subject for me. It was my favorite thing to do because I understood it. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree in mathematics because, like, how fun would it be to just take a bunch of math classes and get really, really good at math, right? Like, doesn't everyone feel that way? So I'm in these calc classes, which are prereqs for me to be able to obviously be a math major. Like, the curve in those classes was pretty messed up because we had students who had already been familiarized with this material, you know, like they're seeing all this stuff for the second time. I feel like international students, like, they are so much more academically prepared than at least I was. So discouraging for me on so many levels because, one, I already felt like I didn't belong there, like socially, culturally, I felt out of place. Two, I'm having trouble academically. I don't feel like the smart person that I thought I was in high school. Yeah, it was tough. It was like a big slap in the face to, you know, like have all these high hopes and expectations for yourself. I thought that I had, you know, accomplished something really big by getting into UCLA. When I got there, I just felt like I didn't belong there for a number of reasons. For sure, my first quarter was so hard. Even my whole first year, I was coming back home a lot. So I'm from Stockton. LA is about 6 hours away. That's in a car. I was coming on Amtrak, which takes about like 9 or 10 hours of your day. So like, I was taking these really long trips, if not every weekend, then for sure every other weekend. I was coming home way too much. And like, there would be like times where I would miss a Friday or a Monday class because I was worried about coming home over the weekend. I went through it, but I also just didn't buckle down academically like I should have a long time ago. I'm not going to say all the things I should have done. I'll leave that for another video because that will take a long time. But I finally like started actually caring about getting more than a C. Like, I was just thinking like, C's get degrees, and I should have gotten out of that mentality so much sooner. But it is what it is. I still look back and like try not to blame myself because I really didn't have much to go off of. I didn't have any friends that had gone through any similar experience. I didn't have any family members to ask about a four-year university away from home, to ask them about financial aid, to ask them about housing, to ask them about resources on campus. I didn't have anything to go off of. In fact, I did the best I could with what I had. I'm not saying that there wasn't more out there for me or that nobody, you know, would have offered it to me. I just didn't know that I could like seek those things out and they would be there. To not have to worry about that. But I do also know that like having to still work at least part-time did have an effect on my ability to focus more on studying. I feel like those are advantages that other students had that I didn't. That's probably why I felt like I didn't belong in another way. A lot of those students came from families that had money, just that my parents didn't save up to, you know, like send me to college or to like pay for my housing or give me somewhere to live while I was in college. That's not realistic for a lot of students, especially where I come from. You know, like, I still needed money to live off of. I guess I'm not going to address like housing and financial aid and more detailed things about my experience here because this is already going to be long enough. I did finish off pretty strong, I'm not going to lie. It's an amazing school. It's an awesome campus and there are great people who go there. I just had a hard time adjusting, but I'm still very, very proud of myself for sticking it out and trying to keep in mind the value of an education. Do let me know in the comments. I will be happy to make another video because I do love talking about college. Like, I know I had quite a bit of trouble transitioning from high school to college, but I'm still a pretty firm believer in attending college and the value of an education. And I want to share my experience with anyone who wants to hear about it because, like I said, I didn't really have anyone to hear those things from. And I know that even if you're not in the exact same situation that I was, there's still a lot that you can take from hearing someone else's college experience. And if I can help anyone, I would absolutely love to do that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I promise I'm going to try to be more active on here. I really, really, really want to get my watch time and my subscribers up, and I know that means I have to post more. So if you have any other suggestions on anything else you want to see, please do comment down below. Bye guys.